Nobody ever tells you that working with humans will fundamentally alter your understanding of probability physics and your own mortality, but here I am, Quilnor of the Zentare Biological Survey Corps, 3rd rotation, currently questioning every life choice that led me to this reinforced observation deck on Verath 7, watching a human do what humans do best. Ignore common sense. Let me set the scene for you. It's day 47 of our ecological survey. Verath 7 is what we in the scientific community call aggressively hostile to sentient life. The jungle below us contains approximately 234 documented species that can kill you in under 3 minutes. We have cataloged 17 different varieties of carnivorous plants. The local water supply has a pH level that can dissolve Krenthi bone plating, and yet command, in their infinite wisdom, approved the inclusion of a human in our research team. His name is Jack Brennan. He's from somewhere called New Jersey, which I'm told explains quite a lot, though nobody has bothered to explain it to me. Jack stands roughly 6 feet tall, which is average for his species, but towers over my own 4-foot frame. He has this unsettling habit of smiling when things go wrong. Not a fear grimace, mind you. An actual smile, as if danger is some kind of personal friend who just showed up uninvited to a party. The observation deck is our primary research station. A climate-controlled dome with enough defensive shielding to withstand a Kravux battle cruiser. Below us the jungle canopy stretches for hundreds of miles. A writhing mass of green and purple vegetation that seems to pulse with malevolent intent. Monitoring equipment lines every wall, displaying data streams about temperature, seismic activity, atmospheric composition, and most importantly predator movement patterns. This morning started like any other. Vil, my Thrixian research partner, was analyzing soil samples. Thurix, our Gorlian security officer, was performing his ritual equipment check for the 3rd time, and I was reviewing overnight sensor data while consuming my morning nutrition paste. That's when Jack decided to go outside for a walk in the murder jungle because, and I quote, "It's nice out." He cannot be serious, Velm said, all 4 of her eye stalks swiveling toward the external monitor. Velm is possibly the most cautious being I have ever met. She considers crossing an empty corridor without checking both directions twice to be reckless behavior. Watching a human voluntarily exit our fortified compound was probably giving her a cardiac episode. Thrixians have 3 hearts, so technically she could afford to lose one. But still, Thurix lumbered over to the viewport, his massive frame blocking most of the light. Gorlians are built like mobile fortresses, 7 feet of muscle and natural armor plating. They're the kind of species that evolution designed to survive planetary apocalypses. Thurix once told me he could withstand direct exposure to a Class 4 radiation zone for up to 6 hours. Even he looked concerned. "Should I activate the perimeter defense grid?" he asked, one massive hand hovering over the control panel. "No," I sighed, marking this as the 14th safety protocol violation this week. It was only Tuesday. He'll just complain that the electric fence tickles again. Remember last time? We had been studying human physiology for the past month and a half, mostly out of morbid curiosity and partly because Command insisted we document everything. The results were, to put it mildly, disturbing. Humans possess this bizarre internal chemistry that produces adrenaline, a compound that essentially overrides their body's natural self-preservation systems. They have this thing called an immune system that doesn't just fight infections but apparently holds grudges against foreign organisms. Their bones can heal themselves, their skin regenerates, they can survive on an absurd variety of food sources including things that would qualify as industrial waste on most civilized worlds. But the most terrifying aspect, their absolute refusal to acknowledge danger. Jack had already violated 15 different safety regulations since arriving. He had pet a Verath spike lizard, which possesses enough venom to kill a Krenthi warbeast. The lizard had bitten him. Jack had said, and I have this recorded, "Ow, you little jerk," and then continued petting it. He had consumed local fruit without running it through the molecular analyzer first. He had walked through a patch of burning nettle with bare arms and simply commented that it was a bit itchy. He had fallen 20 feet from a research platform, landed incorrectly, and complained only about his datapad screen cracking. How is his species not extinct? Vel muttered, echoing the question that haunted all of us. I pulled up Jack's biomonitor readings on my screen. Heart rate calm, blood pressure normal, stress hormones practically non-existent. He was strolling through a jungle that had killed 3 previous survey teams like he was taking a leisurely walk through a botanical garden. His mission log simply read, collecting plant samples, back in 20 minutes. in a jungle where the average survival time for unprotected sentience was 8 minutes. I should mention that Jack was not, in fact, wearing proper protective gear. He had on what humans call cargo shorts, a thin fabric shirt, and boots that looked like they had seen better decades. His only concession to safety was a small blade on his belt and a sample collection bag. Velm's eye stalks drooped in despair. "I am filing a formal complaint with command." "Get in line," I replied, pulling up the complaint form I had already started typing. It was currently 17 pages long. The alarm started as a low pulse, then escalated into a full shriek that made my sensory organs flatten against my skull. Thyrix was at the primary console before the second beep finished, his claws dancing across the haptic interface with surprising delicacy for someone built like a siege weapon. "Predator alert," he announced, and I felt my blood temperature drop 3 degrees. "Varath Ripper, Sector 7, distance to human 300 meters and closing, 300 meters. Velm's voice climbed 2 octaves. That is, someone do something." Let me explain what a Varath Ripper is. For those fortunate enough to have never encountered one, they are the apex predator of this nightmare planet. 12 feet long, 800 pounds of muscle, claws and terrible life choices. They have serrated teeth designed to grip and tear. Their hide is tough enough to deflect most energy weapons. They can sprint at 40 miles per hour through dense jungle. They hunt in a style we have classified as aggressive enthusiasm. And they have never, not once in recorded history, backed down from prey. The sensor map showed the Ripper's heat signature, an angry red blob moving through the jungle canopy with terrifying speed and purpose. Jack's signal was a calm blue dot, stationary, probably crouching to examine some mushroom or another, equally stupid thing. "Open the emergency channel," I barked at Thyrix, who was already 3 steps ahead of me. The comm crackled to life. Jack Brennan, respond immediately." Static. Then, infuriatingly casual. "Yeah, what's up? What is up?" I felt my translator struggle with the human idiom. "What is he up?" "There is a Varath Ripper approaching your position. 300 meters. Return to the compound immediately." "Oh, is that what that smell is?" Jack's voice held what I can only describe as mild interest. "Yeah, I noticed something was tracking me about 5 minutes ago." Vel made a sound like air escaping from a punctured habitat seal. "You noticed?" My volume control had completely failed. "And you did not think to mention this?" "Well, I figured you guys would pick it up on sensors eventually. No point getting everyone worked up over nothing." "Nothing." Thyrix roared into the comm. "A Varath Ripper is not nothing. It is a Class 5 threat. Return now." 200 meters. The Ripper had accelerated. "Yeah, about that," Jack said, and I could hear him moving now, branches snapping under his feet. "I'm kind of in the middle of a really interesting fern situation here. Can I get like 5 more minutes?" 150 meters. "Jack, listen to me very carefully," I said, forcing my voice into what I hoped was authoritative calm. "You need to run. Right now. That creature will kill you." "Noted," he replied. Then inexplicably, "Hey, do we have any of those sample bags that are bigger? This one's getting full." 100 meters. The Ripper's heat signature suddenly changed patterns. It had stopped its approach. It was positioning itself. Hunting behavior. Preparing to strike. "Jack, it is preparing to attack. Move." 75 meters. All right, I hear you. Heading back now." "Geez, you guys worry too much." 50 meters. The Ripper charged. The sensor display showed what my brain refused to process. The Ripper's heat signature colliding with Jack's position in a burst of movement that made the tracking algorithm stutter and recalibrate. "Get the medical bay ready." Velm shrieked, already scrambling toward the emergency equipment. "Full trauma response. Catastrophic injury protocols." I pulled up the external camera feed, zooming in on Jack's last known coordinates. The image was partially obscured by jungle canopy, but I could see movement, violent and fast. Thyrix had gone completely silent beside me, which was somehow more terrifying than if he had been shouting. Gorlians only go silent when they are processing something that contradicts their entire understanding of reality. The Varath Ripper burst through a cluster of ferns, and even through the camera feed. The thing was magnificent and horrible. Muscles rippled under mottled green-black hide. Its jaw hung open, displaying rows of teeth that had evolved for exactly one purpose. It moved with the fluid confidence of a creature that had never lost a fight, never faced real resistance, never encountered anything in this jungle that did not immediately become food. It leaped at Jack with claws extended. Jack dropped his sample bag. Then, and I want to be very clear about this because I have replayed this footage approximately 200 times and it still makes no sense, Jack stepped into the attack. Not away, Not to the side. Into it. The Ripper's claws raked across Jack's shoulder, tearing through his shirt like it was tissue paper. Blood sprayed, bright red against the green jungle backdrop. I saw Velm collapse against the console, her eye stalks retracting in sympathetic horror. But Jack had moved with the strike, rotating his body in a way that turned a disemboweling blow into a glancing wound. His hand, his bare hand, shot out and grabbed the Ripper's foreleg just behind the joint. Then he twisted. The sound that came through the audio feed was something between a crack and a pop, biological structures doing things they were not designed to do. The Ripper screamed. An actual scream. High-pitched and filled with what I can only describe as outrage. In 30 million years of evolution, nothing had ever heard it back. Did he just? Derek started, then stopped. No, that is not possible. Jack used the Ripper's own momentum against it, a concept I recognized from human combat training manuals I had studied with academic horror. He pivoted, redirected, and suddenly 800 pounds of apex predator was airborne, rotating in a trajectory that ended with it slamming into a tree trunk hard enough that I heard the impact through the external microphones. The Ripper hit the ground, dazed but already scrambling to its feet. Jack stood there, blood running down his arm, breathing hard but impossibly, grinning. Okay, his voice came through the comms, slightly breathless. Okay, yeah, you guys might have been right about this one. Might have been right. I found myself yelling at a human who could not possibly hear me over the comm delay. Get back here right now. The Ripper shook its massive head, refocusing on Jack with what looked suspiciously like confusion. This was not how prey behaved. Prey ran. Prey died quickly. Prey did not grab your leg and throw you into trees. Jack raised his hands into a guard position. Knees bent, weight balanced. I recognized the stance from human martial arts databases. He was preparing to fight, not flee, not surrender. Fight. So here's the thing, Jack said, apparently narrating for our benefit now. I did not wake up this morning expecting to wrestle a dinosaur, but you know what? Life's full of surprises. The Ripper charged again. And this time there was something new in its movement. Hesitation. It was afraid of the human. I need to sit down, Velm whispered. You are sitting down, Thyrix replied, not taking his eyes off the screen. I need to sit down more. The second charge was more cautious, more calculated. The Ripper had learned, which was itself a terrifying development. These creatures were supposed to be pure instinct and aggression, not tactical thinkers. But pain is an excellent teacher, and Jack had apparently enrolled it in a very intensive course. The Ripper feinted left, then struck right with its tail, a move designed to catch prey off guard. Jack jumped, not backwards, not to safety but UP. He cleared the tail sweep by a margin I could barely measure on the sensor readout, landed in a crouch, and immediately launched himself forward. He is attacking it again, I heard myself say, my voice climbing into registers I did not know I could produce. Why is he attacking it again? Jack's fist connected with the side of the Ripper's head, just behind its eye ridge. The impact was hard enough that I saw the creature's head snap to the side. The biomonitor screamed warnings about metacarpal stress fractures, but Jack did not slow down. He followed up with an elbow strike to the same location, then rolled away as the Ripper's claws swept through the space his torso had occupied half a second earlier. Okay, so you are tougher than you look, Jack panted, circling now, keeping his eyes locked on the predator. Respect, but I have had a really long week, and I am not really in the mood to be lunch. The Ripper lunged, jaws wide enough to fit Jack's entire head inside. Jack dropped flat, and those massive jaws snapped shut, on empty air with a sound like a steel trap closing. He kicked out, both legs pistoning into the creature's chest cavity with force that registered on our seismic sensors. Seismic sensors, Velm whimpered. His kicks are registering on seismic sensors. The Ripper staggered back, wheezing. Jack rolled to his feet and I noticed his left arm was hanging slightly wrong. Dislocated shoulder according to the biomonitor. A injury that should have made him combat ineffective. Instead, he reached up with his right hand, grabbed his left arm and jerked it sharply upward. The pop of the shoulder relocating was audible through the audio feed. Much better, Jack said, rotating the joint experimentally. Okay, round 2, let's go. Round 2? Thyrix rumbled. What was round 1? The Ripper, apparently deciding that direct assault was not working, tried a new strategy. It backed up, circled, looking for an opening. Blood matted its fur where Jack's strikes had landed. One eye was swelling shut. Its movements had lost some of their fluid grace, replaced with a cautious, almost defensive posture. The apex predator of Verath 7 was being hunted. Jack pressed the advantage. He grabbed a fallen branch, thick as my arm and probably just as heavy, swung it in a wide arc that connected with the Ripper's side with a meaty thwack that made me flinch. The branch exploded into splinters. The Ripper howled and spun, faster than something that large should be able to move. Claws extended in a wild sweep. 3 parallel gashes opened across Jack's chest. Deep ones. The biomonitor went absolutely haywire. Alarms cascading across my display. Blood loss warnings. Tissue damage alerts. Recommended immediate medical intervention. Jack looked down at the wounds, then back up at the Ripper. "Okay," he said quietly. "Now I am mad. What happened next violated so many principles of biology, physics, and common sense that I have had to create an entirely new classification system just to document it." Jack charged. Not a careful, measured advance, a full sprint, directly at 800 pounds of claws and teeth and evolutionary advantage. The Ripper reared up to meet him, probably expecting Jack to dodge at the last second like any sane creature would. Jack did not dodge. He ducked under the strike, came up inside the creature's guard, and wrapped both arms around its torso in what human combat manuals call a bear hug, which is ironic because I have seen Terran bears and they are significantly less frightening than whatever Jack was doing. He lifted. "No," I said out loud. "No, that is not. That is physically impossible." The Ripper's feet left the ground. All 4 of them. Jack's muscles stood out like cables under his skin, his face contorted with effort, and for just a moment, 800 pounds of apex predator was airborne because a human decided gravity was more of a suggestion than a law. Jack twisted, turned, and slammed the Ripper down onto its back with force that cracked the ground. The impact shook our observation deck 300 meters away and 50 feet up. The Ripper thrashed, trying to right itself. Jack dropped onto it, knee first, driving his full weight into the creature's chest. I heard ribs crack. The Ripper's back legs kicked frantically, catching Jack in the side, sending him tumbling across the jungle floor. Both combatants lay there for a moment, heaving, bleeding, reassessing. "Stay down," Jack wheezed at the Ripper. "Seriously. Just stay down. Okay? I do not want to hurt you more than I already have." The Ripper, displaying the kind of stubborn determination usually reserved for particularly stupid predators, began to rise. Jack sighed. "Why do they never stay down?" He stood up, swaying slightly, blood running from at least 6 different wounds. The biomonitor was now just a solid wall of red warning indicators. By all medical logic, he should be unconscious. By most biological standards, he should be dead. Instead, he cracked his knuckles. "All right," Jack said. "Let's finish this." The Ripper rose on shaky legs, and for the first time since this insanity began, I saw something in its posture that made my heart ache with unexpected sympathy. Confusion. This creature, this perfect killing machine shaped by millions of years of evolution, had no framework for understanding what was happening. Everything in its genetic memory said that it was the danger. It was the apex. It was the thing that other creatures fled from. Jack was not fleeing. The human limped forward, favoring his right leg now, additional injuries cataloging themselves on my monitor faster than I could read them. Cracked ribs. 3, possibly 4. Severe lacerations across torso and arms. Blood loss approaching critical levels. Muscle strain in both shoulders. And yet he moved with purpose, with determination, with that absolutely unhinged human stubbornness that made them simultaneously the galaxy's best allies and worst enemy. The Ripper took a step backward. "Is it?" Velm started. All 4 eye stalks extended in disbelief. "Is it retreating?" It was. The apex predator of Varath 7, the creature we had classified as incapable of fear response, was backing away from a bleeding, injured human who should have been dead several minutes ago. Jack noticed too. "Oh no, you don't," he said. And despite everything, despite the pain he must have been experiencing, he smiled. "You started this. We are going to finish it." He moved faster than his injuries should have allowed, closing the distance between them in 3 long strides. The Ripper swung its head, jaws snapping, but the movement was defensive. Panicked, Jack ducked under the strike, came up inside its reach and drove his fist directly into the creature's throat. The Ripper made a sound I had never heard before. A choking, desperate wheeze. It stumbled backward, trying to create distance, trying to escape, and I realized with absolute shock that it was no longer trying to kill Jack. It was trying to survive Jack. "Thorax," I said quietly. "Are you recording all of this?" "Every sensor we have," he replied, his voice filled with the kind of awe usually reserved for witnessing stellar phenomena. "Command will never believe it." Jack grabbed the Ripper's head, one hand on either side of its massive skull, fingers somehow finding purchase on the armored hide. He looked directly into its remaining good eye, and when he spoke, His voice carried across the audio feed with absolute clarity. Go home. Then he shoved hard, sending the creature stumbling backward into the underbrush. The Ripper caught itself, turned, looked back at Jack one final time with what I can only describe as bewilderment, and then fled. The apex predator of Varath 7 crashed through the jungle like a startled prey animal, its heat signature retreating on my sensors faster than I had ever seen one move outside of active hunting. Jack stood there swaying slightly, watching it go. Blood dripped from his wounds, pattering onto the jungle floor in a rhythm that matched my own racing heartbeat. His breathing was labored, harsh, each inhale obviously painful. Then he bent down, picked up his sample bag and checked the contents. "Oh good," he said, sounding genuinely relieved. The fern sample survived. I looked at Velm. Velm looked at Thyrix. Thyrix looked back at me. "I am transferring to a different survey corps," Vel announced. "Perhaps one that studies nebula formations. Nice, safe, predictable gas clouds that do not fight apex predators with their bare hands. I will write you a recommendation," I replied, unable to tear my eyes from the monitor. Jack started walking back toward the compound, limping but moving steadily, humming something that my translator identified as a human song called "I Will Survive." The irony was not lost on me. Jack arrived at the compound airlock 7 minutes later, which was actually faster than his usual walking pace. He palmed the entry panel with his less injured hand, leaving a bloody smear across the biometric scanner that I would have to clean later, assuming I survived the heart palpitations I was currently experiencing. The inner door cycled open, and Jack stepped into the main facility looking like he had gone through an industrial shredder. His shirt hung in tatters, blood covered approximately 60% of his visible skin. His left eye was swelling shut. He had what appeared to be a chunk missing from his right bicep, and he was still carrying that sample bag. "Hey guys," he said cheerfully, as if he had just returned from a routine supply run. "So, funny story," Velb screamed. Just a short one, but it echoed off the metal walls quite impressively. Thyrix was already moving, his emergency medical training overriding his shock. He guided Jack to the medical bay with surprising gentleness for someone who could bend steel plates. "Sit. Do not move. Do not speak. Just sit there and bleed less if possible." "I am fine, really," Jack protested, even as Thyrix physically placed him on the examination table. "It looks worse than it is." I pulled up the biomonitor data on the medical bay's main screen. "Jack, you have lost approximately 2.3 liters of blood. You have sustained tissue damage across 42% of your body surface area. You have multiple fractures, severe contusions, and what appears to be a partially collapsed lung. You are not fine. You are by any medical definition critically injured." Jack glanced down at himself as if noticing the injuries for the first time. "Huh. Yeah, okay. I guess that is pretty bad. But like, I can still walk and everything, so that is good, right?" Thyrix began applying coagulation foam to the worst of the lacerations, working with the focused intensity of someone trying very hard not to think about what he was seeing. "How are you conscious?" he muttered. "How are you even alive?" "Practice," Jack offered, then winced as Thyrix hit a particularly deep wound. "Ow. Okay, yeah, that one stings a bit." I moved closer, my scientific curiosity temporarily overriding my horror. "Jack, I need you to explain something to me. Why did you fight it? You could have climbed a tree, activated your emergency beacon, called for aerial extraction. Why engage in direct physical combat with a creature specifically evolved to kill?" Jack looked at me like I had asked why water was wet. "Well, I mean, it attacked me first. What was I supposed to do, just let it eat me?" "Yes," Velm shouted from where she was still cowering behind a console. "That is exactly what every sane species does when confronted by an apex predator. You die. Quickly. You do not wrestle it." "That seems really defeatist," Jack said thoughtfully. "Like humans did not get to the top of Earth's food chain by giving up every time something with big teeth showed up. We got there by being too stubborn to die and too stupid to know when we were outmatched." Thyrix paused in his medical work, holding a tissue regenerator. "That is not a survival strategy. That is barely even a philosophy. That is just concentrated insanity." Jack shrugged, then immediately regretted it based on his facial expression. "Yeah, probably. But it worked, didn't it? I am alive. The Ripper is alive. Everybody wins." "The Ripper ran away," I pointed out, still trying to process what I had witnessed. "You made an apex predator retreat. That should not be possible." "Look, I did not want to hurt it," Jack said, sounding genuinely concerned now. "I just needed it to understand that I was not food. Once we established that, everything was cool. I bet if we see each other again, we will probably just nod and keep walking, you know? Mutual respect and all that. I stared at him. Velm stared at him. Thurix stopped pretending to work and just stared at him. You think, I said slowly, that you and the Varath Ripper have developed an understanding? Sure, why not? Jack smiled, then winced because his split lip had reopened. I have had worse first impressions turn into solid friendships. Thurix finished sealing the last major wound and stepped back, examining his handiwork. You will live. Against all logic, probability, and medical science, you will live. The injuries will heal in approximately 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks? Jack looked offended. Doc, I will be fine in like a week tops. Humans heal fast. Not that fast. On a bed. No. Thurix, Velm and I said in perfect unison. It is now 3 hours after what I am officially calling the incident, and I am sitting at my workstation, staring at a blank incident report form, trying to figure out how to explain any of this to command in a way that will not get me flagged for psychological evaluation. Incident report Varath 7 Research Station Day 47 filed by Krillnors and Turai Biological Survey Corps. Subject: human researcher engaged in unarmed combat with Class 5 Predator and 1. I delete that. Too casual. Subject: possible need to reclassify human species as apex predator category. Delete. Too alarming. Subject: everything we know about evolutionary biology is apparently wrong. Delete. Too existential. Across the room, Jack is sitting up in the medical bay, eating something he calls a sandwich with one hand while using the other to scroll through his datapad, reviewing the fern samples he collected. The fern samples, the ones he risked his life for, the ones he nearly died protecting. He has already asked when he can go back out for more. Thurix is in the corner, methodically cleaning and recalibrating every piece of medical equipment, which is what Gorlians do when they are having a crisis. Velm has filed formal requests to transfer to 3 different survey stations, all of them specifically noted as human-free zones, and me. I am trying to write a report that will somehow convey the absolute insanity of working with a species that treats mortal danger like a minor scheduling inconvenience. The truth is, we have been classifying humans wrong from the beginning. We saw their relatively fragile bodies, their lack of natural weapons, their need for specific atmospheric conditions, and we assumed they were a standard Class 3 sentient species, intelligent, social tool users, but fundamentally prey animals who lucked into consciousness. We were so incredibly catastrophically wrong. Humans are not prey that learn to fight back. They are predators who learn to feel guilty about it. They are ambush hunters who developed philosophy. They are endurance killers who write poetry. They are the galaxy's most dangerous species because they combine the brutality of a Varath Ripper with the strategic thinking of a Zentaria scientist, and the social cooperation of a Thrixian hive. And then they add this completely unhinged willingness to try anything at least once. Jack looks up from his datapad and catches me staring. Hey Krillnor, you okay? You have been sitting there for a while. I am attempting to file the incident report. I tell him honestly. I am struggling with how to phrase certain elements. Oh, that is easy, Jack says, smiling with his split lip. Just right. Human got attacked. Human defended himself. Everyone survived. Keep it simple. Simple. He thinks this is simple. I begin typing. Incident report, day 47. Today we discovered that human self-preservation instincts are less instinct and more polite suggestion. Recommend immediate reclassification of human species threat level. Also recommend hazard pay increase for all personnel assigned to human-inclusive research teams, and therapy. Lots of therapy. I pause, then add one final line. Human researcher has requested permission to return to fieldwork tomorrow. Permission denied until I figure out how to write a safety protocol that accounts for humans being humans. I submit the report and lean back in my chair, watching Jack happily document his fern samples, humming that survival song again. Somewhere out in the jungle, a Varath Ripper is probably telling its friends about the terrifying bipedal nightmare it encountered today. Somewhere in command headquarters, my report is going to land on someone's desk and ruin their entire week. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice is asking the question that will haunt me for the rest of my career. If this is what one human can do on a Tuesday afternoon, what exactly are they capable of when they are actually trying? I do not want to know the answer, but I have a terrible feeling I am going to find out.